Thank you for watching this presentation. The title of this presentation is Translation Project of Mayavi2 document. Let me introduce myself first. My account name is tkoyama010. My Twitter and GitHub accounts are the same. Here is the account for Twitter and GitHub. Please follow as you like. I'm interested in scientific computing and visualization with computer graphics. I am also a translator of OSS documents. Today, I will talk about as the OSS translator. First, let me explain about importance of translation in SciPy community. Language is one of the big barrier of collaborate OSS developer and users. Scientist and engineering software document is one of the most difficult area to translate. So the translation of scientist and engineer is important. Translation is a good first step to contribute for OSS beginner. In this talk, I will use Mayavi2 project for the case study of translating the document. Mayavi2 is a general-purpose cross-platform tool for 3D scientific data visualization. Its features include visualization of scalar, vector, and tensor data in 2 and 3 dimensions. Documentation of project is incredibly important. It also takes a lot of time to write and improve. You can easily help Mayavi2 with documentation. You will find the documentation sources in Docs Sources Mayavi. The documentation is written in Sphinx. It is easy to edit the REST file to modify, extend the text. Once you have done your modifications, you can build the documentation by running this command in the base directory of your checkout. You will need Sphinx installed for that. The documentation is then built as an HTML documentation that you can find the subdirectory. Build docs HTML Mayavi. Once you are comfortable with the modifications, just generate the GitHub pull request to integrate your changes into the next stable release. Here is what I will talk about. First, I will explain about internationalization of documents in Sphinx. You can translate your document in your local. Second, I will explain about translation by Transfix. This is used for collaborate translation with other members. In the end, I will explain about hosting translated document in Read the Docs. Sphinx is a documentation generator written and used by the Python community. It is written in Python and also used in other environments. Sphinx converts restructured text file into HTML website and other formats including PDF, EPUB, TextInfo, and MAM. Restructured text is extensible and Sphinx exploits its extensible nature through a number of extensions. For auto-generating documentation from source code, writing mathematical notation, or highlighting source code, etc. The first public release was announced on March 21, 2008. It was developed for and is used extensively by the Python project for documentation. Since its introduction in 2008, Sphinx has been adopted by many other important scientific Python projects including Mayavi, SageMath, SciPy, NumPy. It is also used for Python API document. In 2010, it is announced that the creation of the Read the Docs project as part of the effort to make maintenance of software document easier. Read the Docs automates the process of building and uploading Sphinx document after every commit. In this talk, I will talk about how to translate your Sphinx document and launch it in Read the Docs. Sphinx INTL is a useful tool to work with Sphinx translation flow. This part describes an easy way to translate with Sphinx INTL. First, install Sphinx INTL by pip install Sphinx INTL. Second, and configuration to conf.py. This case study assumes that build dir is set to underbar build, local underbar dirs is set to local, and get text underbar compact is set to false. The Sphinx document is already configured as such. Third, extract translate message into pot files by make get text command. The generated pot file will be placed in the build get text directory. Next, generate PO files. We'll use the PO pot files generated in the above step. Sphinx INTL update P option build get text L option JA. Once completed, the generated PO files will be placed in the below directories, local JALC messages. Next, translate PO files. As I said above, they are located in local lang LC messages directory. An example of one such file from Sphinx builders.po is like this. Please be careful not to break REST notation. Most PO editor will help you with that. Build translated document. You need a language parameter in conf.py, or you may also specify the parameter on the command line. For BSD GNU make E option Sphinx opt, D option language JA HTML. Now you got the translated document in build HTML directory. Currently, Sphinx support languages are DE for German, FR for French, HI for Hindi, IT for Italian, JA for Japanese, KO for Korean, PT for Portuguese, ZHCN for Simplified Chinese, etc. Transfix is a proprietary web-based translation platform. That is to say, it is a globalization management system. It targets technical projects with frequently updated content, such as software documentation and website, and encourages the automation of the localization workflow by integrating with the tool used by developers. FAT started as a Google Summer Code project to solve a federal project problem, has evolved in the complete movement backed by a new startup business as Transfix. As of March 2014, the hosted site transfix.com has over 70,000 project translations hosted across 150 languages, including Fedora, Mercurial, Bitbucket, Xfce, and others. It is cloud-based and lightning fast, and an open connected platform and continuous agile localization. Transfix is one of several services that allow collaborative translation via web interface. It has a nifty Python-based command client that makes it easy to fetch and push translations. First, install Transfix client. You need tx command to upload resources. Pip install Transfix client. Create your Transfix announce and create a new project for your document. In this project, I set project ID as Mayavi and project URL to http transfix.com getfem doc Mayavi and create config file for tx command. This process will create txconfig in the current directory, as well as a transfix RC file that includes auth information by using txinit. Second, uh, next, upload pot file to transfix service. Register pot file to txconfig file. And upload pot file by using tx push s option. Next, forward the translation on transfix and pull translated PO file and make translated HTML. Get translated catalogs and build MO files. For example, to build MO file for Japanese. TX pull L option JA and make E option swings opt D option language JA HTML to make HTML. That's all. GitHub is central to many development teams' workflows. In this part, you'll learn how to synchronize changes between files hosted in GitHub and your localization project in Transfix. We will show you how to do this with a Transfix client and also how to use the client in conjunction with continuous integration tool for more automated workflow. You can automate the above process and create the contiguous localization workflow by incorporating the Transfix client into your continuous integration chain. Here's how to do it in GitHub Action. First, create txconfig file and commit. In the environment variable section, add server m variable. You can use tx token for it. And inside your repository, add a GitHub Workflows main YAML file if you don't already have one. We will install Transfix client and push it if the test passed successfully. Once you have a GitHub Workflow main YAML file, add a section like this inside of it. Fourth, commit GitHub Workflow main YAML file to the branch you want to sync translations from. Now, every time you commit changes in this branch, your content will be uploaded to Transfix and your resources will be uploaded automatically. If you are looking to learn how you can help translate content that's on Transfix, you have to signing up for an account. Second, joining a translation team. Third, finding and translating content. Before you can participate in a project or translate any content, you'll need to have a free translator account on Transfix. There are a couple of ways to get an account. To sign up for an account, go www.transfix.com, sign up and register for an account. If asked to activate your account, check your email for activation link and click on it. On the first page of welcome page, fill in your name and select translator as your job. Hit next to continue. The join the existing project option will be pre-selected for you. Hit next again. Finally, choose which languages you can speak. When you're ready, click Get Started. You'll be taken to the Explorer page where you'll be able to find and join Mayavi2 project. Here's how to join the team. From the Explorer page, search or look for the project Mayavi2 to join. Once you find the project you like to join, click on its name. And click the Join Team button on the right side of the header. In the pop-up, select which language you want to help translate to. Click Join. Depending on how the team is set up, you will either be immediately accepted to the team or someone from the team will need to approve your request before you can join that team. After you've been approved as a translator, you'll be notified by email. From then on, you'll see the project your dashboard and you can translate it. If you have any question about adding a new language to the project you are interested in, about why your join request haven't been approved yet, you would need to contact the project administrator directly. You can find their contact information on their website or social media. Transfix provides translators with a space to work on content without needing to worry about handling files. The editor is accessible from any web browser and multiple people can translate the same file in parallel. In this part, you will find how to use it. Here's you can get to the editor. From the project navigation in the dashboard, click on the project you want to translate. Click the Translate button on the right side of the header. In the Language drop-down, choose which language you want to translate content to. Depending on your role, you might only see the language you've been given permission to work on. And click the resource you like to translate. You only need to do this if there is more than one resource in the project. Or you'd like to translate all your project resources at once, then click the All Resources link on the bottom left hand side of the image. After finding the string you want to work on, it's finally time to translate. Here's how to translate the string in Transfix. Type your translation info into the translation area below the source string area. Hit save or you can hit save all after you translate several strings. And now string is translated. We also need to review all the translation. As there is only one translator in this project, the current translation is 100% and reviews are 0%. So we are looking for reviewers. If you want to search strings, you can use search box. From the strings list on the left, click on the string you want to translate. Your selected string will appear on the right-hand side in the source string area. Click in the search box above the string list, or use Alt-S shortcut to see the list of the available filters. Find the one you want to by either scrolling through the filter list or typing the filter name in the search input. And click on a filter to use it. Depending on what filter you select, you may need to make a selection to enter search them. You can combine multiple filters together to narrow your string list down even more. For example, you can find all the unreviewed string tagged with account, see all available filters if you want. Read the Docs is an open source free software documentation hosting platform. It generates documentation written with the Sphinx documentation generator. The site was created in 2010. On March 9, 2011, the Python Software Foundation Board awards a grant of US $840 to the Read the Docs project for 1 year of hosting fees. On November 13, 2017, the Linux Mint project announced that they were moving their documentation to Read the Docs. Write the Docs, a directly descendant of the Read the Docs project, was created as a conference for LisaDocs user but has turned into a generic software documentation community. The feature of this service is free docs hosting and webhooks and multiple formats and multiple versions. This talk walks through the process needed to manage the translation of your documentation. Once this work is done, you can set up your project and read the docs to build each languages of your documentation by reading localization of documentation. There are many different ways to manage documentation in multiple languages by using different tools or services. All of them have their pros and cons depending on the content of your project or organization. In this guide, we will focus our effort around two different methods, manual and using transfix. In both methods, we need to follow these steps to translate our documentation. First, create translatable files, POT and PO extensions from source language. Second, translate the text on those files from source language to target language. Third, build the documentation in target language using translated text. Besides these steps, once we have published our first translated version of our documentation, we will want to keep it updated from the source language. At that time, the workflow would be update or translatable files from source language. Second, translate only new and modified text in source language into target language. Third, build the documentation using the most up-to-date translations. This situation is a bit more complicated. To support this, we will have one parent project and number of projects marked as translation of that parent. Let's use Mayavi as an example. The main Mayavi project is the parent for all translations. Then you must create a project for each translation. For example, Mayavi JA, you will set the language as the for to Japanese. In the parent project translation page, you will say that Maya BJA is a translation for your project. And has a this has the result of servicing as Mayavi page for each language. And the point of managed translation in these docs are we must have RTD project for each language. Second, each project must have correct language setting on setting page. Third, master project has connection to each translated project on translations setting page. You can see the details in this URL. Now, I talked about internationalization of Sphinx document and how to translate it in Transfix and how to manage translation in these docs. Thank you for listening, and we are looking for Mayavi2 Japanese translation review and translator for other languages. And if you want to translate your scientific Python project document, Mayavi translation project is a good example. Thanks.